Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Monash College Virtual Classroom demonstration. I'm Jane Stewart, and I'm the Director of Foundation Year at the College. I'm really pleased you're able to join us today to get a first-hand look at how our classroom operates. While international borders remain closed, providing a high-quality education for all our students remains our priority. And we are delivering this through a blended online virtual classroom and face-to-face pathway programs. It is our commitment to provide new students starting their studies with us offshore with the opportunity of a guaranteed pathway into Monash University without slowing down their education journey. The Foundation Year program enables students to gain direct entry into the first year of an undergraduate degree in any of Monash University's 10 faculties upon completing the program and meeting the relevant requirements. Our online environment is built on the same approach we use in our face-to-face classes. It's the same teachers, the same curriculum, and the same support. In fact, we actually strengthened our support model so that students receive tailored, individual support from experienced teachers who can help them with their specific concerns. We also have learning advisors, counsellors, student engagement specialists, all dedicated to supporting and encouraging our students. In today's virtual classroom taster session, one of our Foundation Year teachers, Guney Dogan, will be taking you through an introduction to inheritance and genetics. And you'll also be hearing from a Foundation Year student, Mahira, as she shares her experiences of the virtual classroom. We'll also talk about the support service available to students to make sure you have the best possible experience with the college. Our team has one goal in mind: to give you a fantastic learning experience that sets you up for your undergraduate studies. I'm going to hand over to Guney in a moment, and I look forward to joining us at the Monash College virtual classroom and then in our face-to-face on-campus environment once our restrictions are lifted. Across to you, Guney.
Thank you very much, Jane. And I'd like to once again welcome everybody. Jane mentioned that today is going to be a taster session on Zoom of what our virtual classrooms are like. And what I'm going to do is run through just a little bit of the introduction to genetics and inheritance as you would study if you were to take Biology Unit 2 in Foundation Year. As Terence put in the chat, if you have any questions, feel free to put it into the chat and we'll get those answered for you. Okay, without any further ado, I'd just like to start by talking about the type of inheritance that we're going to look at today. The image of the person you see in front of you is Gregor Mendel, and he was basically the father of our understanding of genetics. The type of inheritance we'll be talking about is Mendelian inheritance, and if you were to study biology, you'd learn about the limitations of that and what the complexities of it are. But for our purposes, we're just going to talk about heritability or inheritance. So to be able to do this, there's a few things that we need to understand. One of those is what the term heredity actually means. This is about the passing on of characteristics from one generation to another. For example, just really quickly with a thumbs up, if you could, and I'll just stop sharing for a second, with a thumbs up, either in the reactions button, or if you have your camera on, you can just raise your hand or put your thumb up. How many of you think you look like one or both of your parents? If there are similarities. I see a few thumbs up. Jane's got a thumb up. Yeah. Well, that's no accident. That's exactly what we're talking about when we talk about heritability. And an example of a characteristic that might be inherited is hair color. That's inherited from our family. It's passed on. Now, the other term I'll be using is traits. So the term trait refers to different forms of that characteristic. For example, if I was talking about hair color as the characteristic, then the traits would be the different types of hair color. So brown hair, blonde, these are the different traits that one might have. I'll start with a story to illustrate how this is not as simple as it might otherwise appear. What you're seeing on the PowerPoint in front of you is my actual auntie and uncle. And although you can't tell in this photo, my uncle had brown hair. It's gone white over time, but that's a different story. And my auntie also has brown hair. So when they had a child, their one and only son, and he turned out to look like this, and this is him grown, of course, he had bright orange hair, not looking like either of them. However, if you were to look into the family, you would see that my uncle has a mother who has red hair, and my auntie has a grandmother who had red hair. So a characteristic may not be displayed each time in each generation, but it may be carried on. So there are two terms we're going to learn today, and we're going to use those, and that is dominant and recessive. I'm going to take a step back and tell you about how this inheritance works. So the DNA. You've probably all heard of DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. It contains the ingredients or the instructions on what we will look like, among many, many other things. And it's packaged in things called chromosomes. These chromosomes, we have 2 copies of each of them, generally, and we get one of those from our mother and one from our father. So, in other words, each individual gets half their genetic material or half those instructions from their mother and half from their father, meaning that's probably why we end up looking a little bit like both. So in this instance, let's say these 2 chromosomes, or cartoons that represent chromosomes, represents my uncle's DNA. On this chromosome, you will see a gene, and this gene I've highlighted is for brown hair, and on the other chromosome, he has one for red hair. This is why he's able to pass that on. You might be thinking, but how come your uncle looked like he had brown hair? And this is because brown hair gene is what we call dominant over the red hair gene. That means if you have both of them present, only the brown haired gene is the one that's expressed. So in other words, the trait you have is brown hair in this situation, even though you have a copy of each. The other trait that's not expressed in the presence of brown hair is known as recessive. So the dominant is the one that is expressed, and recessive is not expressed if the dominant one is present. Knowing this, we also know that my auntie must also have the same situation, where she has one copy of the brown-haired and one copy of the red-haired trait. When they had a child, there's a 50-50 chance as to which of these chromosomes are passed on, and in the case of my cousin, this is what you ended up with, 2 copies of the red-haired trait. Because it's recessive, in the presence of the brown-haired trait, it was not visible. But in this situation, where the only thing you have is 2 copies of the red-haired gene, you end up with my cousin Corey, bright flaming red hair. So what we're going to do now is look at what other traits are heritable and discover a little bit about each other, finding out which of those traits we have. So what I'm going to do is ask you all to go along with me to this Padlet. So in the chat, I am about to send you all a link to click on. And where it's going to send us is to this Padlet. So I'm just waiting for you to click on that and join me in my Padlet. Okay. Can I get a thumbs up from somebody if they're able to access that Padlet? Yeah, Jane's able. Fantastic. Okay, so the first of these traits that we're going to look at is the detached earlobe. And by the way, feel free to try and check to see which of these you have. I would like you to put a thumbs up if you have the detached earlobe. As you can see, it's not fully connected down here at the bottom, so it hangs off. Whereas if you have the attached earlobe, you can put the thumbs down button. So if you have this one, click the thumbs up. If you have this one, click the thumbs down. Fantastic. We have a 9-to-4 ratio, 10-to-4 ratio there. Pretty good, pretty good. The next trait we'll look at may seem a little silly, but it's the ability to roll your tongue like this. If you've never tried, now's your opportunity. Don't worry, you can turn your cameras off so you don't look silly. Try to roll your tongue like this, and if you can do it, click the thumbs up, and if you cannot, click the thumbs down. I'm a thumbs up myself. Excellent. The third trait we'll look at is dimples, whether you have dimples or not. Dimples are these little pits in the side of your face. When you smile, they become more prominent on some people. You can't tell that with my beard, but I do not have dimples. So I would be clicking thumbs down. If you have dimples, click the thumbs up. Now, the image doesn't show what I'm asking here, but if you are right-handed, that means you predominantly use your right hand to write with or for most of your activities, click the thumbs up button. If you are one of those people who are left-handed, click the thumbs down button. Some of you may be asking, what if I'm both? Then you don't have to click either one because it cancels each other out. You can leave that one out. The next one is about freckles. Now, if you have freckles, ladies and gentlemen, put the thumbs up. If you do not, thumbs down. And this is an example of a young lady with freckles, these spotlight marks upon her face. This next trait, I'm going to ask you if you have naturally curly hair, so not the ones you get from going to the hairdresser, but the ones that you get naturally, press the thumbs up button. If you do not have curly hair, you can press the thumbs down. Some people will debate with me about what curly hair means, whether wavy and curly are the same thing, but that's for another lesson. The next one, the cleft chin. Okay, this is an interesting one. If your chin has a little cleft in the center of it, I'd like you to press the thumbs up button. If it's smooth and does not have a cleft chin, you can press the thumbs down. My daughter has a very prominent cleft chin. I do not. Okay, this one is a little bit more complex. I am talking about any type of allergy. So you have an allergic reaction to certain things. I myself am allergic to pollen. So I would have to click the thumbs up for this. If you have any allergies, whether it's lactose, whether it's, there might be peanuts or dust, animals that you might be allergic to, click the thumbs up button. Otherwise, the thumbs down, please. Excellent. So the majority of people don't have an allergy. And the majority of people, as we can see here, do not have a cleft chin. They have a smooth chin. Okay. This is an interesting one. If you don't know which of these you are, simply just put your hands together like this, clasp them, and see if your left thumb is over your right in a natural state. So one of those will feel more comfortable than the other. If your left thumb over your right is the more comfortable for you, press the thumbs up. If you are having your right thumb over your left, click the thumbs down. This next one also is interesting. So if you cannot see the number inside the circle below, hit the like button. Now, with the number of people in this session, I was expecting at least one person to hit the thumbs up, and I've got that person. Excellent. So what that means is that individual has color blindness. They're unable to discern between two colors. For those who are able, you'll clearly see a 15 in green, and the rest of it is in shades of orange. So that's an interesting trait. It is also heritable. Moving down. These two different hairstyles, they're not the styles I'm looking at, but this little notch here of hair. So if your hair comes to a point in the center, that is called a widow's peak. If you have a widow's peak, hit the like button. Otherwise, the dislike button. This is not about which of these hairstyles you prefer, just which one you know that you have. So if you have a widow's peak, the front, hit the like. My personal favorite trait here, if you can make this gesture, then without holding onto your fingers, hit the like button. If you cannot do it, hit the dislike button. It's actually really interesting when we're in class, and usually I would have students turn all their cameras on so I can see them trying to do this and have a good laugh while going through the lesson. Just the last one here now, ladies and gentlemen, the hitchhiker's thumb. This one looks interesting. If you have hitchhiker's thumb, which is that your thumb goes all the way back and points back at you, that's called hitchhiker's thumb. If you have that, hit the thumbs up. If your thumb does not curl back towards yourself, then hit the thumbs down. Oh, look at that, 11 to 11 almost. That's a pretty even trait there. Fantastic. Thank you all for contributing in that way. Let's go back to the presentation for a moment, because what we're about to do now is go through those same traits and determine whether they are dominant or recessive. And we will start with rolling the tongue. So if you were able to roll your tongue, ladies and gentlemen, you were able to do this. This is a dominant trait, which means one or both of your parents can also roll their tongue, because with a dominant trait, there's no way that it is not expressed. So check with your parents if they can, which of them can roll their tongue. It might be one, might be both. The detached earlobe versus an attached earlobe, you will find that the detached earlobe is the dominant trait. So again, if two parents both have detached earlobes, I want you to have a think. Could they have a child with attached earlobes? Isn't it a deeper question than it seems? In the chat, yes or no? That's all I'm asking. The detached earlobed parents, so both parents have this type of ear, it's dominant. Could they possibly have a child with attached earlobes? Let's have a look. So I've got two no's in there. I've got one yes, got a maybe, not willing to commit. Now the maybe is actually interesting. I've got some yeses in there as well. In fact, the maybe is the one that I'm most interested in. Can't. That maybe that you sent is the one I'm most interested in. Did you want to mention why you think it's maybe, Khan? That's okay. I can point to my auntie and uncle who had a red-headed child. They had the dominant trait of brown hair, but their child had red hair. So it depends if there is an attached earlobe in that family or not that could be passed down. This can sometimes appear as it seems out of nowhere. The dimples, and I'll go through these just a little bit more quickly now. So the dimples are actually a dominant trait, but with this one, I ask that you not judge your parents too harshly if they don't have dimples, because this is one of those more complicated traits we talked about earlier. So it's possible for someone to have dimples, even though it's dominant, and their parents not have dimples. It's a very strange way of inheriting this, but we'll leave that to one side. A more straightforward version, right-handedness is dominant, left-handedness is not. You might be thinking, are all of these dominant? Well, in this case, it happens to be that freckles are also dominant, as is curly hair. Cleft chin versus smooth chin. The cleft chin is dominant. Now, this might go against what we saw earlier, because a lot more people have a smooth chin than a dominant chin. A common misconception about this is that the dominant trait is always the more prolific trait, the one that's found mostly in the wild, as it were. But that's not always the case. It is with right-handedness, but not in every case. Allergies, do we have any guesses? Thumbs up if you think this is dominant. Thumbs up. No, no thumbs up as I can see. That's because it is recessive, and some of you might have already known that. It is a recessive trait, generally speaking, and there are always exceptions to the rule, but allergies are a recessive trait. So if you have allergies and your partner has allergies and you have a child, chances are that child will also have allergies because it is a recessive trait. Left thumb over the right is what everyone was looking at. Left thumb over the right is the dominant trait. And it's an interesting question to ask. Does this have to do with handedness, whether you're right-handed or left-handed? It could be an experiment in there for us to trial if we were in an actual class. Colored vision. This is a recessive trait. So it's possible that two parents, both able to see differentiate color, can have a child who cannot. And with the types of hairlines, widow's peak versus no widow's peak, it is the widow's peak that is the dominant of those. And the Vulcan greeting is a recessive trait. So once again, with the Vulcan greeting, It's possible that two parents that cannot do this gesture can have a child that does. I am one of those. My parents cannot do this, but I can. Last one that we actually had questions on was about hitchhiker's thumb. And the hitchhiker's thumb is not the one that's dominant. It's actually the regular thumb that's dominant. So what would we call the hitchhiker's thumb? If it's not dominant, it must be, I can see people mouthing it. Yep. Anybody putting it in the chat as well, just checking? Anyone? If it's not dominant, it must be recessive. Thank you. A couple of answers coming through there. Excellent. And these two I didn't ask, but having blonde hair and blue eyes are both recessive traits as well. So it's possible for two people who don't have blonde hair or blue eyes, if it is in their family, of course, it's possible for their offspring to have it. So there you have it, just a small introduction to inheritance and how it works. And I hope you have a better understanding of the terms dominant and recessive and what they mean. Thank you for paying attention and contributing to that. And I'm going to now hand over to Mahira. So Mahira, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I am Mahira, and I'm from Bangladesh. I currently finished both the semesters at Foundation Year program, and I'm very excited to share with you all today some of my experiences studying at the Monash College virtual classroom. Next slide, please. First of all, we all know that sometimes it can get very tiring in the virtual classrooms and boring for some students even. However, for the Monash College virtual classrooms, there are many enjoyable tools such as digital whiteboards, screen sharing, reaction emojis that we can all use to make the classes more interactive. Also, I really enjoy using Moodle because it's a learning system where I can access a lot of resources, the videos, classworks, and homeworks. The lecture slides are also uploaded there, and they help me in my learning and study revision. My virtual classes were conducted via Zoom, and the breakout room feature gave us plenty of opportunities to interact with one another, especially when we were doing group activities or tasks. Usually teachers divide us up into breakout rooms. The teachers at Monash College are very helpful, and they always make time to interact with us, and they also test our understanding of the topics through quizzes like Kahoot or even Moodle quizzes, and there are consultation timings. Yeah, there are consultation timings where you can go in and ask any questions. Moving on to group assignments, for some units, students are assigned with a group task. For example, group presentation. For English, we had a group assignment, which we had to create a video and a presentation following afterwards. To collaborate, my 3 group members and I, we met on Zoom 3 times a week and divided our responsibilities between each other and helped each other along as we moved on with the task. This assignment taught me communication skills, organization skills, and also editing skills because we used iMovie to edit the video. All right. Other than the virtual classroom itself, there are other social activities where you can engage in. And for some units, students are, there are lots of activities that the Monash College offers. So I was a student leader, which involved leading clubs and societies such as the Games Club and Music Club. And becoming a student leader, I've developed many friendships, lifelong friendships, and I've realized that my confidence has grown, and I've developed skills in leadership and also how to solve conflict. I've also learned to plan and organize club sessions and other activities for the students to engage in. Here are some pictures from the club sessions. So this was where we created a heart with the student engagement team. I also hosted some cooking sessions where I had to cook live on the camera. And here are some of my creations. And also a friend of mine threw a surprise birthday for me on a Zoom sessions at Games Club, so which was really special as well. Making friends. It can be tough to make friends online, but as teachers organize breakout rooms for us to initially talk to each other and even collaborate on normal class activities, I met my friends through breakout rooms, which was organized by teachers, and also working together in group assignments later on. Collaborating together in group projects also made us really close to each other. And apart from class timings, we also watched movies on Netflix Party, played games such as like PUBG, Among Us, Shoot Up online, and we also kept in touch via social media platforms. Upon finishing my foundation year, which I have successfully completed, my destination degree is Bachelor of Medical Science and Doctor of Medicine, which is a 5-year degree. And Muffy has helped me a lot in achieving my goals, especially the teachers. Guney was one of my teachers as well, and he was very motivating all throughout the semester. The whole course of foundation year in the virtual classroom, it taught me my time management. Also, due to the time difference, it was very important for me to manage my time efficiently. It got me used to the virtual classroom, and I believe the uni is going to start in a virtual classroom manner. And I've also gotten familiar with the Moodle learning system, which also the Monash Uni uses. And the teachers provided support to achieve my goals. As I said earlier, my career plan is to be in the medical field, most likely as a doctor, and I really look forward to it. Thank you all for staying with me. It was nice being here.
Thank you so much, Mihira, for all of that. And I'd like to offer a special congratulations to Mihira because she has recently got her results and had results in the very high 90s. So she's well on the way to attaining her dream career of becoming a doctor. So I look forward with interest to seeing how she goes at university, at Monash University. So congratulations, Mihira, and thank you for presenting to us today. So now I'll just talk a little bit about the student support services, which Mihira did briefly mention. The first of these that I'd like to go through is the student engagement team. So this team is there to support students for the fun activities that Mihira mentioned, things like the cooking club, the music club, and so forth. We have a very energized group of student engagement people who are there to help make the experience, even in the virtual realm, a positive one for students of Monash College. In addition to our student engagement team, we have our academic support, which includes our learning skills advisors. We have Alison Brown, who's the learning skills advisor that you would get to know, and she's there to create workshops to assist students in developing skills outside of their regular classes or provide one-to-one support for students that need a little bit more help with the skills required in classes. But also she leads up the programs such as the peer mentors, which is important because we think that students work best when they're helping one another achieve their goals. As part of the student support team, we have career advisors such as Susanna Kennedy, who is a fountain of information you can go to discuss possible career opportunities and degrees that are offered at Monash University, or double degrees, and just generally have your questions answered around prerequisites or any important dates or information that you need. And she provides regular information on things that are happening around careers at Monash College. Student welfare is very important to us, and as to that, we have counsellors. So our counsellors, such as Megan Brownlee, will make confidential appointments with students who need a little bit of help, and we all, especially in the current climate, could sometimes use people to talk to and to hear our problems. And she provides, among with the other counsellors, provides an avenue for students to take in those confidential sessions that she can run. But student welfare is not just the responsibility of the counsellors. We have pastoral care program within Monash College within foundation year Firstly, we start with strong foundations to give everybody a strong start into their time at Monash College, and that moves into a weekly regular session for pastoral care called Foundation Life or Foundation Year Life, where students get important information given to them. They have a teacher that can assist them with any questions, queries, or issues that they may have along their journey of Foundation Year. But more importantly than that, the connection between yourself or students and their teacher is an important one, and one that we value. And those teachers are there for their students' welfare as well as their academic success. So all of the teachers can be called upon for assistance if the need arises, and they're more than able to assist or at least direct you to people who can be of assistance with any issues that you may have. And this includes academic, of course, with your teachers providing weekly drop-in sessions where you can come to them with questions or any academic help you need on topics that you may have struggled with. So these are just some of the supports that our team offers. The QR code on your screen right now, if you scan it, will take you to the Monash College Virtual Classroom information page, where you can get more information about how these virtual classrooms work and look at videos like this one that we're creating today, where you can see what our virtual classrooms are like. If you want more information about Monash College Foundation Year programs, or for that matter, diplomas or our English programs, www.monashcollege.edu.au/courses is where you should go, as shown on the screen. And any questions that you may have that you haven't already put onto the chat, please send an email to marketing@monashcollege.edu.au. And please don't forget to follow us on social media on the platforms shown on this screen. So thank you all for attending today's taster session, and hoping to see you in virtual classrooms in the future and in person when it is possible. Thank you.